Hey everybody, Zach here for the Friday Fishing Report for Pacific Angler once again. We got another fly tying tutorial for you this week. This one is going to be kind of combining all the techniques and things like that I've shown over the past couple months here, tying different chironomids and stuff into kind of a holy grail, pretty fancy looking chironomid. So this is going to be a blended thread buzzer style. So buzzers over in England and stuff like that, they don't use beads on some of those patterns. Gives a little more natural look to them, I find. You can get kind of the split gills, you can get some wing buds in there. We've got the segmentation with the body. We've got a whole lot going on in this fly, and these do take a little bit of time, so bear with me on this one. This fly didn't come together quite quickly. I've got a bunch of iterations of this fly. I don't know if the camera's going to pick those up or not. With this new macro lens, things go to focus quite quickly. But I've got a lot of different variations, and it's taken some time to get this where I want. From looking at the naturals and things like that when I do throat samples, this pattern's come up a few times, so figured I should put it on a hook and make it so that I got it ready when that's what the fish are keying in on. So this one's going to be a little bit smaller, not too small though. It's going to be tied on a size 16, and it's a Daiichi 1760. Hopefully you guys can see that there. And so it's a long shank, curved nymph hook. We're going to be using 3 different kinds of threads on this fly. We've got ultra thread in black, rusty brown, and light olive. All in the 70 denier. So we're going to start this fly by tying in our gills, which are going to go right up at the head here. And you can use whatever gill material you want, whether it be Antron or EP fiber. I like to use the old Superfly midge gill. This stuff doesn't exist anymore, so I'm kind of using it sparingly as best I can. It's funny when you get onto a material that you like, you don't want to use it all up or try to find something new. It is basically a yarn. I'm pretty sure I could find something over at a craft store or something like that. So the way I'm tying this in, hopefully you can see that, it's just some cross wraps. So I'm just tying on a diagonal and on a diagonal, and that's going to help splay these gills out to the side. Do a couple wraps in front. I'm going to come underneath and do a couple wraps behind, and come back to the front, and that's where I'm going to whip finish, get rid of this black thread for now. I will be finishing the fly with the black. There's a few thread changes on this one, so bear with me. Now I like to keep the gills a little bit long to start, so I'm just going to trim those like so. Just like to lick my fingers over those gills and pull them forward. That kind of gets them out of the way a smidge there. So you can see I got the gills tied in. Next color I'm going to start with, so I'm going to attach my rusty brown thread here, right behind where I tied in those gills. Get it kind of secured in place. And I'm going to tie in my 2 ribs, so I'm using ultra wire, extra small in black. Hopefully that picks up. And I'm going to use the flat wire, the wide ultra fine in silver. That's that stuff there. This stuff's pretty cool. I like it quite a bit actually for chironomids now that I've been playing with it for a bit. I'm going to tie in my black rib first, so it's going to be not quite on top of the shank. It's going to be more towards my side, on the side of the shank. I'm just going to come in here with a couple wraps. Get that in place. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up all that crashing and banging, but got some construction going on in the backyard, so don't mind that. And then I'm going to tie in the flat wire, and I'm just going to make sure that the black wire is going to be on top of the flat wire as I wrap back. So I just gave my bobbin a counterclockwise spin, and that helps to flatten out the thread. You should be able to see that there. I'm tying these ribs in along the side of the hook shank. And by flattening out that thread, it gives a nice even coverage. Doesn't create too much bulk, which we don't want. And then I'm going to get rid of that stray fiber there. Kind of bugging me a bit. I'm going to come back up. If I notice my thread is starting to cord up again, give another little counterclockwise spin. That should keep it nice and flat so we're not building up too much bulk on this fly. Come back in with my whip finisher. That's it for the rusty brown. 2 quick little whips and trim that guy away. There we go. Now I'm going to start my light olive thread. Again, right behind the gills. I like to start to build up a little bit of a taper here. Try to get some of that olive to be more prominent on the fly. Again, counterclockwise spin. I'm just going to take my thread back. I'm going to kind of get that nice blended look that we want. One fiber, driving me nuts. There we go. Give that thread a counterclockwise spin. Get that up right to where we want it. There we go. We got that nice blended body look. Hopefully the camera's picking that up. And I'm going to tie in my gills, or wing buds I should say. So this is just some dark ginger Spanflex. This is great for like a rubber leg material or bodies. You would have seen this on my CO Chironomid. I use it as a nice rib. Use orange, use brown, whatever you got. I've been kind of hunting for some cool new colors, so this is one of them. So I've just cut myself off a little chunk here. I'm just going to wrap it around my thread. And I'm going to tie this in on the underside of the fly. And as I wrap back on this, I'm going to pull it a little bit tighter, just to help reduce bulk, keep that taper nice and smooth. So once I got that done, I brought my thread back up to behind the gills. I'm going to whip finish my olive thread. I am now done with that one, and I am coming back to the black. So I'm going to pull those gills back. Start my thread at the front of the fly, just to help kind of fill in that head a little bit. Trim that tag end away. Come underneath here. Stroke all those gills forward. Bring that black thread back just a touch. If you got little straggly thread bits, don't worry about that, not the end of the world. Now we are going to rib this fly. So to do that, I'm going to start with the silver. I'm going to take, there's a lot of things going on here, so like I said, take your time, don't rush anything. These guys can kind of just get out of the way. If you want, you can just take one little kind of loose wrap there. That'll kind of tuck them forward and out of the way. So I'm going to take a full turn at the back here. Tuck that guy away. And the goal here with the flat wire is to get 7 to 9 wraps up to the head there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're getting to this part. 6, and I think I got 7 there. So I'm going to tie that flat wire off. Just like so. And it is metal, so don't use your scissors on it. Just kind of bend it and break it off. And I just like to cover up the loose ends there with some loose wraps, which is what we want. I'm going to grab these wing buds one more time, give a loose wrap there. And I'm going to now wrap my extra small wire in front of each of those flat wire wraps. Just take your time, make sure they're sitting where you want. This is going to add some more pronounced segmentation on the fly. if you ever look at the naturals, you'll see sometimes there's a little bit of black kind of poking through on their bodies. And just like so. I'm going to get that nice and secure. And pull down tight on my thread. Wiggle and bend that wire off. Kind of like so. So that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out. I'm going to put a couple more wraps on the front side of these gills as they're starting to kind of wrap forward a bit. And now, move my thread right to behind the gills. I'm going to do this one at a time. I'm going to take the span flex. I'm going to pull it ever so gently. You don't want to pull it too tight because what will happen is it becomes quite transparent. I'll try to do this without rotating the vise. Give it a little tug. Just take a single wrap, kind of like so. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to give one more securing wrap. I'm going to pull everything back. I'm going to finish off my fly right at the front here. Grab my whip finisher. Stroke everything back there. Take your time. I'm going to come in here. A couple whip finishes. Seat my knot. I'm going to cut away the thread. So now I'm going to trim these tag ends. So I always do a whip finish first, and what I like to do is just pull on it, give it a little stretch, and cut it. And what that does is it suctions into the thread wraps. And I'll do the same thing with this guy here, so it doesn't leave any big bumps or anything. Then I'm going to give my final trim for my gills. Trim them about there. You can always retrim them after. Those are a little long, I think, just to give you an idea. Touch long. So I'm just going to come in here, give a quick little haircut. There you go, you can kind of see that. Now the tying portion is done. Now the resin portion-ish, almost. So just to seat the thread color, I like to come in here with a little bit of brushable super glue. I just kind of tag that body like so. A little bit on the head there, a little bit underneath just so nothing comes apart. And just like the cooking shows due to TV magic, I'm going to pop that out of the vise. I have already started one here. And you will eventually have something that looks like that. So that's got a good coating of super glue on it. That's going to hold the colors of the thread. And then I'm going to come in here with my Solaris Bone Dry. It's a fresh bottle, so don't need too much on there. I'm just going to lightly dab in between the gills. Just kind of get the head how I like it, in between those wing buds. Hit that with my UV lights. Quick little zap there. And I'm going to do the same. Another little dab on the underside. Just kind of fill in that gap, seal up all those thread wraps. Make that fly nice and pretty. Zap it one more time. If you want, you can add an additional little coating on the body there. I'll usually just hit it with another coat of super glue and it'll make it pretty bomb proof. And then you're pretty much done. There you have it. Your blended thread buzzer style chironomid. There's a lot going on in this one. Thanks for bearing with me on it. If you have any questions about the tying of this fly, come on into the shop. I can give you a hand and show you what's going on. We just got a bunch of new fancy Renzetti vices like this guy here. And hope you guys enjoyed that, and we'll see you next week.